Hola, Jefa Talk. We are on season 6, and today we have Ethan. I'm super excited to have you on because we have this new segment on our podcast where we're going to be highlighting athletes here in San Antonio. And so I'm excited to hear about your journey in boxing and what it is that has inspired you to pretty much go pro. So, to go ahead and get started, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how old you are, things like that.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm 19 years old. I'm from here from San Antonio, Texas, and yeah, I started boxing when I was like 6.
So, was it something that is in your family, or is it something that you kind of wanted to like do as a kid?
So I started because my older brother got into it, and as being the little brother, I kind of just followed him, and then from there, he switched more towards school, and I decided to stay in the sport, and it's kind of just been like that for over 13 years now.
Now, tell me, with you being in boxing for such a long time now, what is it that keeps you motivated to stay in the sport?
Just the drive to want to be better. Like, cause I started this sport not really knowing what to expect, and then just kind of like falling in love with the sport over the years. I just kind of wanted to always be better than I was, not so much be better than others around me, but just myself. So growing up into it, I just want to be better than myself.
Now, I know that you did mention that your dad was your coach. Now, tell me a little bit of that dynamic. What got him into coaching, and how has that dynamic been for you being father and son?
Um, so at first he was actually really nervous. He didn't want to coach. He just was he didn't know if he could handle like the pressure of like being the coach and making sure I'm ready and like ready to perform and all that. But just over time, like he decided that it was something he wanted to try out, and so then eventually he became my coach, and it's kind of just been stuck like that for some time now.
Now, I know you did mention off the record that you were now training with somebody other than your dad. How has that been for you?
It's been good. I've been training with my dad for over 6 years now. So that now that I finally am training with someone else, it's something new I'm adjusting to. But it was something that didn't take long to adjust to. Like I'm training with Robert Garcia now, and it was very comforting, very welcoming whenever I went. And he knows what he's doing. Like he knows how to get me ready. He knows what to tell me to get me ready, and it's a good experience.
Now tell me, I kind of am new to the whole boxing thing. Of course, I love watching it, but I don't know exactly how it works. So, because you've been doing it for a long time, what made you jump into it trying to go pro?
So in the amateurs, you can go pro as early as 17, but in the amateurs, it is just like basically getting you ready all these years for becoming a pro. And so I don't think I started late, but I didn't start as early as a lot of people I know, because a lot of people I know start right when they get 17. I started when I was already almost 19. So it was something that was a long conversation with my dad way before it even happened, and then we just agreed one day like let's do it. So we went pro.
Okay. Tell me what is your mindset when you are in the ring? I know, of course, preparing for a fight must take a lot of dedication and motivation, but when you're actually in the ring, kind of walk me through what your mindset is like.
When you're kind of in the ring, there's a lot of like motivation, like building you up towards the fight. But when you get in the ring, it's just all off of your knowledge of the sport and like, you know, how calm you can be and like how in control you can be during the fight. Because if you let your mind beat you in the fight, then it's not gonna go good for you. But if you can stay like calm and like obviously respect the other fighter, but at the same time know like how good you're gonna do and what you're gonna do, it helps you overcome a lot of things, and then that helps you take care of business, honestly.
Now, tell me, what is one of the things that you find um strength in as far as your skill set? Like, being a boxer, obviously training all pretty much all your life, what is one of the things that you realized early on, like this is my strength and this is what I'm gonna focus on and really master?
Um, there's a lot of things that I feel like I still need to work on. The a couple of things that I feel like I do good is maybe my boxing abilities, because there's a difference like in styles of fighting. And I feel like whenever like because there's people who will just like brawl and go forward and throw at you, and then there's people who like will stay long, fight, box, and I feel like that's a skill that I'm slowly getting really good at, and I'm trying to get better at it, of course. So I think that's probably something I'm doing good at right now.
Now tell me, you are currently preparing for a fight. So tell me, what is that process like?
So basically, what that process is, we have the set date that we're gonna fight. So we take a couple weeks back to really see how much time we have, and we'll start, let's say, 6 weeks in advance with the whole training camp. And so from there, like how we were talking about, I'll go out to Cali to train and prepare and get my body ready, and then that'll be 6 weeks worth of camp. I'll get back, do a week worth of like a weight loss, and then I'll fight.
Now, tell me, what is one of the hardest things in your journey that you have had to face so far?
I feel like it's on like a lot of it's mental. Like there's a lot of times where like it gets a lot in your head, or like there's a lot of pressure on you and you feel like, you don't know if you can handle it and all that. So I feel like a lot of, mental coming into this, because you gotta really just calm down when you do this and kind of just take a breather.
So, what are the few things that you do to kind of get your mindset and your mind controlled?
There's a couple things. So during training camp is mainly one of the times where you feel most like not frustrated, but like it's just a lot at once. So there's a couple things you can do. I mean, some people play video games. There's other people who like to go on runs. I kind of do a bit of both, just to like kind of take a breather away from boxing, but also like just take a chill break.
Now, what are one of the things that you guys do during training? I know, of course, dieting. So, what else goes into your training that's like really hardcore?
Um, Honestly, the amount of work you put in, like especially with the coaching, like they'll put you to work so that you like body literally just wants to give up until that point, and then when it comes down to when you fight, like it just feels like easy. Like that's where all the hard work goes into training, so that when it comes time to fight, your body doesn't feel like it needs to give up. Like all that's in the past when you were training.
Yeah. Now, of course, you said that you had started at a very young age. So now being where you're at in your journey and looking back, what would you tell your little self about your journey so far?
Um, I'll just tell myself that it's going good. You know, like you can't really predict the future. So I think a year ago wouldn't have expected where I am now. So I think I would just tell myself to just kind of let God take control and just go with the flow.
Yeah. Now, what are one of the things that you're looking forward to in your journey, as far as like going pro? What does that look like for you? What are your goals?
Um, of course, one of the main goals is to become a world champion. You know, that's something every boxer wants to be. Um, I think a main one is just to be like remembered in the sport. Like I think I would want to be like someone who goes down in the history books, and someone who like you can always bring up and they'll know who you are.
Now, on that subject, who are a few boxers that you admire and look up to?
There's a couple people right now. There's I mean, active. There's Gervonta Davis. There's Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I mean, I train alongside Bam, and his skills are very high, and like he's really good. So it's someone that like I can always look at and see his skill worth, and like kind of not really take notes, but just like get little ideas on like what I can work on.
Yeah. Um, Now going into your next fight, of course, hoping that you win, what what happens after a fight? So how do you guys kind of like adjust not being in training, not being in a fight?
So I mean, it at first it's kind of like confusing, or not confusing, but it's just like you put in so much work, so much work, so much work, and like it's just like a lot back and forth, and then you fight, and then it's just nothing. So most of the times, what I try and do just to like kind of get a breather from boxing is either just find something fun to do or go hang out with friends. Just kind of enjoy like taking a little break away.
Now, you did say that you're 19. So in high school, how did you kind of manage school and boxing?
Um, well, I don't know. I mean, I kind of just I kind of would just try and take care of as much schoolwork as I could during school, because I would get home at like 5, get ready for the gym, and then go to the gym at 6. So it was kind of like no time gap in between. So I would try and knock out as much schoolwork as I could during school, work out, come home, and maybe knock out a little bit more.
No. Are you planning on continuing school? Are you just pursuing boxing full time?
As of right now, boxing is full time. I do plan on looking back into schooling, maybe trying to do a community college or something. That is an idea I had.
Yeah. Now, what would you recommend or what advice would you give somebody that's currently in the sport wanting to go pro and not knowing if that's a good choice for them or not?
Um, I mean, truly, it's obviously it's up to you, but it's just a decision that you have to make, knowing how good you are, and you always have to bet on yourself. So, I mean, just bet on yourself, believe in your skills, and just go for it.
That's good advice. Now, is there anybody here in the community in the boxing industry that you are looking forward to fighting?
Not necessarily, honestly. There's never been like someone in mind that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to fight him. I mean, there's a lot of good opportunities, but there's nobody in mind that I have that I want to fight.
Now, currently, is there a boxing gym that you train out of that you work with?
When I'm here in town, I train out of Boxer Station. It's downtown. It's with Fuerza Cervantes. And when I'm in Cali, I train out of RGBA with Robert Garcia.
That's good. Now tell me, you do have a fight coming up. Tell me a little bit about that fight and when that is. Do you guys have dates for it?
Yes, we just got the date maybe like last week. It's June 15th. It'll be at the Techport Arena here in San Antonio. Um, so from now, I'm just kind of preparing.
So, when is it that you officially leave for training and kind of walk me through the process of like once you go out to Cali and you're training, is there like no contact with family? Is it just basically training like you're on shutdown?
I mean, I have contact with family when I go out there, and it'll start in a couple weeks. I'll be out there for 6 to 5 weeks, and yeah, I mean, I have contact with family and all that. It's just when you're out there, there's not really like time to mess around. Like you kind of just gotta stay focused. I mean, obviously, yes, there's other fighters there that you're cool with, and you get to hang out with, but when it comes to like leaving or like going to hang out somewhere, that's not really like a thing. Like you gotta like kind of stay focused on the fight and prepare yourself honestly.
Um, Now tell me a little bit about for you as far as like your goals in the industry. Are there any other things that you feel like you're trying to work towards besides being known obviously in the boxing world? Is there anything specific that you're working towards like being really, really good at?
Being really good at, I mean, maybe a more skilled boxer, and then I'd wish to also like hit harder, sit on my punches more. So those are a couple skills I'm working at right now. Just like sitting down to I'm more solid, being able to box better, and just look like it's easy, but I mean, obviously it's not.
Yeah. So far, how many fights have you won?
I have 2 fights and I've won both.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about how your family kind of feels about you boxing. Like, do they encourage it? I know you did say that of course your dad was a coach and then your brother was in it. So for them it's not something that's abnormal.
Yeah. I mean, I think at first it was something that like my family questioned, but it's been a long time now. It's been over 10 years, so I think my family's kind of just adjusted to it and like they know that this is, something of mine that I really do enjoy and they kind of just support me to the fullest.
Now, is it hard for them whenever you do go out and you have to train far from home?
Mm, yes and no. I feel like no because I mean, they have their own lives too that they get to take care of, but at the same time, I think they do miss like the feeling of having me here and like being able to do things with me and knowing I'm safe.
Yeah. Is there anywhere else that you visit when you go train, besides California? Have you trained anywhere else?
No, not really. This was a new experience for me going out of state to train and be gone for a certain amount of time. So most of the times I train here, but I mean, this past fight, I was planning on. I went out to Cali to get ready, and it was something I'd never done before, so it was something new for me.
Now tell me, what was that process like? How does a boxer go about training out of state and like training at another facility?
Um, I mean, most of the times it goes off an invitation, or if they really do like you and you ask if you are able to go. But when I went out there, it was just something that like I had wanted to do. Like I had wanted to go out there and get like a new experience. So when I went out there, it was exactly what I wanted. It was a new experience.
Now, what is it like whenever, I mean, of course, right now you have won your two amateur fights. Have you ever lost any fights?
In the amateurs, yes. In the pros, I'm 2-0. In the amateurs, I had over 80 fights, and yes, there was a lot of wins and losses in the amateurs. And I think it's just something you gotta accept. Like if like when you lose, like obviously nobody wants to lose, but it's something you gotta accept.
So walk me through that process whenever you have lost a fight. What is it that you do as far as like after the fight to prepare yourself for the next one? Or do you give yourself a break to kind of reflect on the things that you could have worked on?
So from what I remember, whenever like if there was a time where I lost in amateurs, mainly what we would do is we would kind of just if someone recorded or like if we had a clear vision on like how the fight was, then we would kind of just go back to like what was I doing wrong and what we can fix and what we can change so that that doesn't happen again. With obviously there's a bunch of different fighters, but with like a certain fighter or a certain skill, like we work on what I was doing wrong.
Now, of course, you're taking boxing as something that you want to do long term, and of course, this is something that you want to work for as a career. So, what does boxing overall mean to you, and what is it about boxing that makes you fall in love with it so much?
um I think boxing is just my lifestyle now, so it's something that I mean, obviously, over time, like if I were to retire one day, like it would be something I could live without. But I also think, it'd be hard to just from like growing up off of it, honestly, and just going through a lot of ups and downs with the sport. But honestly, I think it's just it's different because like in basketball you got teammates, in football you got teammates, in baseball you got teammates, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to like boxing, you got yourself. Like it's only you against another person. You gotta make sure your skills are ready and prepared.
Yeah. Now, is there anything that you feel as far as boxing that has been a very hard life lesson within it?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Like, for instance, of course, boxing, like you said, it instead of having teammates, it's just you. So, is there a life lesson that you have learned so far in your boxing journey that you can relay out into real life?
Just that in a lot of instances, you just have yourself, so you need to kind of realize that in certain instances that you gotta, obviously take care of yourself first because when it comes down to it, like with boxing and a lot of things in life, it's just you. It's just you in a lot of situations. So you gotta make sure that you're doing what you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Now, for anybody that's looking into taking boxing full time as their career, what advice would you give them as far as like social media presence? Of course, it's a lot different now because of social media. So, what would you recommend for them?
I feel like a lot of it's honestly just promoting yourself, pushing yourself out there, showing how, good you are, and obviously like showing that off through a lot of things, through social media, through your performances, through a lot of things. So I think, yeah, if you're planning on going pro, just kind of have a game plan beforehand.
Yeah. Now, of course, your fight coming up. Do you guys already have somebody set that you will be fighting, or you're not sure yet?
I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too clear on, if there's somebody lined up yet, but usually they'll give me a heads up a couple weeks in advance on if there's an opponent.
Now, of course, with you training and you preparing yourself for this fight, is there anything that, as far as um being able to fight at the tech port, because that would be your first fight there, right?
Yeah.
So are you excited to experience that? I know they recently had a fight out there, and it's, of course, if you haven't been to the tech port, just seeing them transform the whole place was pretty awesome. What are you
Yes.
looking forward
Well,
to? No, no, you're fine. What are you looking forward to the most fighting at the tech port?
um, just the energy that gives off. I was supposed to fight back in March, but my opponent didn't come through. So I think just like being there and seeing like the energy and like how amazing it feels. Like it's like a arena. Like it feels like an actual arena, and like the vibe's just different. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Just seeing how the energy gets whenever it comes to me fighting.
That's awesome. Now, has there ever been a fight that you've had that was a little surreal for you that you kind of felt like, wow, I can't believe this is actually my career now?
Um, Honestly, my first fight, it was with an opponent that wasn't a pushover. Like he had a chin and he was just coming forward. So I think like through the fight, obviously, like a lot's going through my mind trying to like figure everything out. But like once it was all over and said and done, like and they raised my hand, I kind of realized like, dang, this is like my career and this is something I'm gonna be doing from now on.
So for your first fight as pro and winning, kind of walk me through that night you winning. How did you guys celebrate after? What does that look like for you?
So honestly, there wasn't a lot of celebrating. There was a lot. It was just a lot of there's a lot of work on my body that I didn't expect to be so tired. So after the fight, my eyes were bruised a little bit. My knuckles are all swollen. So like there was no like really like celebrating. As much as I wanted to, I was more just tired. I'd rather just rest.
Now, of course, obviously, with boxing, you do get worn out and you do get hit. So,
Mm.
what is it that you do to kind of ease the body after a fight and kind of let it recuperate?
Honestly, just resting. Like obviously, you can take Tylenol and stuff to kind of like relax your body, but I think just resting. Like that's the one thing you really can do because you're putting your body through so much work for weeks on end, and then you perform. So I think at that point, it's just you deserve to rest.
Now, before we kind of wrap up everything, is there anything specifically that you would want to say, anybody particular that you admire as far as in the boxing industry that you would love to highlight?
Um, Damn, I'm trying to think. As of right now, I don't know. But I mean, there's obviously a lot of fighters out there and a lot of San Antonio fighters that are up and coming that I do like to give shout out to because, we're all on the same journey. We're all trying to get the same goals and, take care of business. So the one thing I would like is for all of us to be able to, make it out and be successful in the sport.
I think that that's wonderful. That even being a small community that everybody kind of wants to see each other win at the end. Um,
Mhm.
Now, is there anybody specifically as far as like in your family that you like admire the most, that you look up to the most, that has helped you in your journey in boxing?
A lot of it's from my dad, a lot of it, and I look up to him because he puts me through a lot, and he pushes me to the fullest, and I see that, like I see how hard he's pushing for me to be successful. So I think I admire him and how hard he tries.
That's good. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to like telling everybody what the process is like for you. Can you kind of let everybody know where they can follow you and where they can kind of start looking at your fight coming up?
So my Facebook and Instagram is EthanP_1, but I'm mainly active on Instagram, and from there I'll be posting, post soon on when the fight is and what I'm doing to prepare for it. So that'll be where you can check me out.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of let everybody know what the process is like for you and what it is that you like doing for your boxing career.
First, thank you for having me.